Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to learn some very useful phrases and fillers that will help you speak English more fluently and naturally. These small expressions can make a big difference. They help you sound more confident, keep the conversation flowing, and give you time to think while you speak. First, we'll listen to a deep dive conversation about shortcuts to English fluency. As you listen, try to catch the tips that can really help you improve. Then, we'll learn the most common fluency phrases, also called fillers, that you can start using right away to improve how you speak English. Let's get started.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is pretty straightforward. We're digging into the source material to find, the best shortcuts to real English fluency. We want to pull out those key tips so you can start sounding, well, natural and confident, not like you're reading from a textbook.
Right. And I think first we need to be clear on what fluency is, according to the research. It's really not about talking super fast, and it's definitely not about being perfect grammatically or otherwise. It's more about achieving what the sources call flow.
Flow, okay. So, like, speaking smoothly.
Exactly. Speaking smoothly, naturally, without sort of struggling too much to find the words. The big takeaway really is that confidence. That matters way more than getting every single word perfect.
Yeah.
Even native speakers hesitate. They make mistakes.
That's a good point. Okay, so let's get practical. The first big hurdle seems to be this mental thing, right? The sources really hammer this point. Stop translating in your head from your native language. It just slows everything down.
Oh, absolutely. That's what some call the translation bottleneck. Think about it. You're adding this whole extra step for your brain. Thinking the thought, finding the word in your language, then finding the English word, then saying it. It creates a huge cognitive load.
So the goal is to cut that out.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You want to build what the research calls real fluency connections.
Hmm.
So you see the thing, maybe your morning coffee, and you just think coffee directly in English, no detour.
Right, bypass the translation step entirely. Makes sense. Okay, so you fix the mental pathway, but your mouth still needs to keep up. Yeah. That brings us to shadowing. I found this fascinating.
Ah, shadowing, yes.
So it's basically listening to a native speaker and repeating right after them, like instantly.
Yeah, immediately you copy everything, the pronunciation, the rhythm, the ups and downs, the intonation. One source had a great analogy, actually. It called shadowing karaoke for English.
Karaoke for English. I like that. So it's like muscle memory for your mouth.
That's a perfect way to put it. It trains your tongue, your lips, all those muscles to make English sounds without you consciously thinking so hard about how to make them. It helps your speech sound less, well, forced and more effortless. It builds that flow we talked about.
Okay, that connects. And then there's the other tip, the one maybe people don't love so much, recording yourself. I know hearing your own voice can be a bit cringy.
It can be, yeah. A lot of people dislike it, but the sources are clear. It's a game changer. It really is. It's the quickest way to actually hear what you sound like, to catch those little pronunciation things you might be doing consistently without realizing it. It helps you learn to self-correct.
So you become your own coach, in a way.
Exactly. And that self-awareness leads to the next step, which is about polishing your speech to sound, real, not robotic.
How do you do that? Is it just practice?
Practice is huge, definitely. But it's also about understanding things like filler words. Words like, well, actually, like sort of.
Okay. So those aren't necessarily bad things to say. I think some learners try to avoid them.
Right. They try to avoid them thinking it sounds unprofessional or something. But native speakers use them constantly. They're like little cushions in the conversation. They give you a second to think. They soften things. They make you sound more natural, less like you're delivering a prepared speech.
That's interesting. So fluency isn't about using the biggest, fanciest words you know.
Not primarily, no. It's about sounding natural and relaxed, being understood easily.
Yeah.
A simple sentence delivered confidently with good rhythm and maybe a natural in there, that often sounds much more fluent than a super complex sentence that took you 5 seconds of awkward silence to construct in your head.
Okay, so confidence, flow, naturalness over perfect grammar sometimes.
Well, grammar is still important for clarity, obviously. You need to be understood. But the emphasis in the research seems to be on using the language, getting maximum exposure. Practice speaking out loud every single day. Talk to yourself if you have to. And just immerse yourself. Listen to English podcasts. Watch movies without subtitles sometimes. Read books.
Surround yourself with it.
Yes. Let it sink in. The grammar often starts to feel more natural through that kind of constant contact.
So wrapping this up for everyone listening, the core idea seems to be fluency comes from this mix of changing how you think, training how you speak, and just living with the language more.
Absolutely. The more English you have around you, the more it becomes just part of how you think and communicate.
Right? It's not just studying rules, it's building a habit, an instinct.
And remember, it's a journey, isn't it? Not some race to a finish line. Every sentence you manage to speak is progress.
So, a final thought to leave you with. If fluency really means prioritizing confident communication and that natural flow over maybe perfect grammar right now, how does that shift your goals for this week? What's one small karaoke for English practice you could commit to starting tomorrow?
I hope you enjoyed our conversation about fluency tips. I'm really curious to know which tip you like the most and which one you'd like to take away from this discussion. Let us know in the comments below. Now let's go through fillers or useful phrases that you can use to improve your fluency step by step. 1. Starting your response. Let's start with phrases you can use at the very beginning of your answer. These are perfect when you want to speak English, but you just need a second to collect your thoughts. Native speakers do this all the time. For example, you might start with, well, you know. This is very casual and natural. You're basically saying, I'm starting my answer, give me a moment. You could say, well, I've always enjoyed cooking, or, well, we could try a different approach. Another useful one is actually. You use this when you want to correct something, share your real opinion, or add a surprising detail. For example, actually, I've never been to New York, or actually, the meeting is on Thursday, not Friday. If you need a short pause, you can simply say, let me think. This sounds very natural and shows you're considering your answer. For example, let me think. I think the train is the best option. When someone asks something interesting or difficult, you can say, that's a good question. This gives you time and also shows respect for the question. For example, that's a good question. I'd probably choose Japan. If you want to be open and honest, use to be honest. This is great for sharing real feelings or opinions. For example, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of spicy food. And finally, let me see, is perfect when you're searching your memory or deciding. You might say, let me see. I think the meeting is at 3. 2. Showing your thinking. Now let's look at phrases you use while you're explaining an idea. For example, you see helps guide the listener and make your point clearer. You might say, you see, the problem isn't the design, it's the timing. The thing is helps you highlight the main issue. For example, the thing is, we don't have enough data yet. If you want to clarify what you just said, use what I mean is. This is very common in spoken English. For example, what I mean is, we should focus on quality. When you're searching for the right words, you can say, how can I put it? This is especially useful when you're being careful or polite. If you're not completely sure, if I'm not mistaken, sounds polite and natural. For example, if I'm not mistaken, the deadline is next Monday. And if you want to explain something more simply, use, let me put it this way. It's great for giving examples or comparisons. 3. Adding more information. Once you've made a point, you often want to add more details. You can use also for simple additions. Besides, when you want to strengthen your argument. On top of that, to emphasize extra problems or benefits. If you're explaining or complaining, and another thing is, works very well. To make your point even stronger, use not only that, but. And for more formal situations, in addition, is perfect. 4. Showing agreement. When you agree with someone, English has many natural options. You can show strong agreement with exactly or absolutely. For calmer agreement, that's true, works well. If you strongly agree, say, I couldn't agree more. If you're agreeing while thinking, right, sounds very natural. And yes, definitely, shows confidence and certainty. 5. Showing disagreement politely. Disagreeing doesn't have to sound rude. You can start with, I see your point, but to show respect. Or, I'm not sure I agree with that, if you want to sound gentle. That's one way to see it, but acknowledges their view before offering yours. Well, in my opinion, clearly introduces your personal view. And I get what you mean, although shows understanding while disagreeing. 6. Filling pauses naturally. Sometimes you just need a second to find the right word. That's when fillers like, you know, I mean, like, sort of, kind of, and you see, help a lot. They keep you speaking instead of stopping completely. For example, it was like really surprising. I'm kind of tired today. You see is slightly more intentional and helps explain your point clearly. 7. Buying time. When you really need a moment, you can say things like, let me think for a second, or give me a moment. If you want to acknowledge someone's idea first, try, that's an interesting point. For careful explanations, well, how can I say this? Works well. And if you have a lot to explain, where should I start? Sounds very natural. 8. Changing the topic. To move to a new topic smoothly, English speakers often say, anyway, by the way, or on another note. If something reminds you of something related, use speaking of which, or that reminds me. 9. Summarizing your point. Finally, when you want to finish your idea, you can say, so, what I'm saying is, to restate your main point. For quick summaries, use in short or basically. For structured endings, to sum up, works well. And for your final opinion, all in all, sounds natural and confident. So, as you can see, these small but powerful phrases can make a big difference in how confidently and naturally you speak English. Don't try to memorize everything at once. Just choose a few phrases and start using them in your daily conversations. The more you practice, the more natural they'll feel. If you found this lesson helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next lessons. I'd also love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments which phrases you're going to start using first. And don't forget to check the link in the description to download the free guide with all these powerful phrases and practice activities to help you speak English more fluently. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.